Hi everyone, this is Doron and today I'm going to show you a game called Pandemic The Cure, which is the DICE version of the popular board game Pandemic. Now I have this game set up as 2 players. In this game, if you're not familiar with Pandemic, similar to Pandemic the board game, you have to find a cure for a total of 4 diseases. What we have here in the center, I'll explain. We have the treatment center with 2 meters around it. It's just a clever way of setting things up. We have what's called the Outbreak Meter, and then we have the infection rate meter. And then we have each of these pawns that over the course of the game we will progress, we'll move them forward this way. If any of these 2 guys reaches this spot, the game is over. So that's basically the way of losing the game, running out of time, outbreaks, or if we're running out of dice. Each die here is representing an infection cube. There are more cubes here in the bag, and if at any point we run out of these cubes, the ability, for example, to pull any dice out of here, if we're running out of here, then we would lose the game. In this game we all play together cooperatively against the game, so we either win or lose together. Now, like I said, I set it up for 2 players, and each player has received randomly a roll card with a certain ability, which I'll go into a bit more detail in few moments. So, since this is a dice-based game, each character receives its own set of dice that for the most part is the same, with a certain tweak according to their specific ability. For example, the dispatcher has the ability, if they roll a certain die, to move pawns, to move people from one region to another, while the the contingency planner can spend a cross symbol result to set an infection die in his region, or treatment center to switch a result of a die to a cross and place it in the CDC. So let me just get into a little bit more detail. We have a total of 6 locations, what's called the regions, which are really representing certain continents around the world, and each region is identified by a number from 1 all the way through 6. Here we got the cure disease card. Once we found a cure for a disease, for example the yellow, we move the die here. Once we placed all 4, we won the game. Now, the numbers on the dice have no significance in terms of the disease itself. The color is the disease. The number just tells us exactly where to place the disease. So if this one is a 4, that would be placed here. If this one is a 1, it would be placed here. Now, part of game setup, we pull randomly 12 cubes, roll them, and place them according to the die results that came up. Every die has a cross symbol here, and if that comes up as part of the setup, we just simply re-roll that. Now here we have the events deck. Over the course of the time, when these players will roll these symbols, I apologize, whenever they roll symbols as part of the actions, when they pull dice out and the result becomes a cross, they can place the crosses here. Over time, you'll collect enough crosses to be able to purchase event cards and use them right away. For example, this one would cost 1 symbol, 2 symbols, and 3 symbols. And these events are good things to happen that can only help you in the game. So, how does this game work? On your turn, you pick up all of your dice and you roll them. Now, you can re-roll them as many times as you want. However, the risk that you take is by getting what's called the biohazard result here, which is this one. I won't focus on that just in a moment. There it is. Let's see if I can focus on that. Yep, up. Sorry about that. Yep, it's this result. Whenever we get this result rolled up, a bad thing happens, and we move the infection rate one step further towards the end of the game. There's another significance for doing this. Now, also you cannot re-roll any infection results that you receive. So in this case, I would move my infection 2 times, and then and then I can keep rolling anything that I would want, any other dice, etc., until I decide to stop. So that would be the first step. The next step is I can give samples to another player. And what does that mean? If you roll this result here, I assume you can see that, I can pick up one of the dice that are in the region that I'm at. Both of us, by the way, begin in North America. I believe that's North America here, number 1. I take and I lock a sample in. Now the downside of it is that I can no longer use this sample until I successfully find a cure. I can do this with, again, any results that I get, okay, and just keep on going. Alright, so let's say I found, I collected 2 samples for a cure. Now, to be able to find a cure for a disease, what I have to do, I have to, at the end of my turn, I have the chance to try and find a cure by rolling the dice and get a result of at least 13. So as you may realize, 2 dice won't cut it. You'll need at least 3. You roll them. If you get 13, you found a cure. You place all of the you place 1 die right there. There's more actions once you find the cure. I won't get into that detail. I'm just trying to give you an idea of the game. Another thing that you can do on your turn is you can give sample to another player if that player is on the same region as you. So I can give this guy samples, and if he successfully collects a sample, let's imagine that this one was here, alright, and he rolled this result, he can pick this guy up, and then at the end of his turn he can determine whether he would like to roll to find a cure or not. Alright, so that's basically how you would find a cure. Alright, now at the end of your turn, what you do, you infect cities. And the way that this is done is by taking the number of dice that are indicated here, and this area, it says standard, this is the standard level. You take randomly 3 dice and you place them on the board just like that. Now, the problem that you might face at some point is an outbreak. If at any point you roll a die of a certain color, let's say for example blue, and there's already 3 dice of that color on that region, you cause an outbreak. And what would an outbreak do is, let me just pull up some other dice. There's a blue one. Let's say I rolled a 3 here. There's an outbreak. So the first thing I need to do is progress this pawn, the outbreak, and then this die would move clockwise to the neighboring region. Now I would say an outbreak happens when there are more than 3 dice of the same color, the same disease on a region. There is no outbreak here, not just yet, even though there's more cubes than 3 of the same color. Only when 1 die has to be applied, and when it has to be placed on a region where there's already 3 cubes. Now, another thing, another one of the actions, and that's important, is I should go over the basic action that each character has, is a syringe. A syringe lets you take one of the cubes in your region and put it in the treatment center. That's what you can do. Or you can use a syringe to move a cube from the treatment center back to the bag. And that's just a good way of making sure you don't run out of dice at any point here. Now, there is a risk involved in placing dice in this location. Now, for example, let's say we have these dice here. If at any point we roll a biohazard and we cross to another area, then an epidemic happens. An epidemic is that you have to collect those 3 dice in this area, since we're here, out of this bag, plus whatever dice that we have in the middle. We roll them and we place all of them. 4, 1, 2, 1, 3, 3, and this is a good example to show that crosses will just go here. And that's really the basis of the game. Now, a dispatcher has an ability that they can move people from one region to another. Let's see, I believe they don't need to be in the same region to be able to do that. The contingency planner can, let's say, can set one infection die in your region to the treatment center. Oh, he can spend one result of a cross to place an infection die in his region on the treatment center, to flip it across and put it there. Now, the other basic abilities that every die has, I believe, is one is an airplane that lets you move from the region that you are to another region, anywhere you want. Another ability that you have is a boat, a ship, lets you move from an adjacent region. And let's see, anything else, if there's any other basic actions. I think that's it. I went over the treat as well, and this is Pandemic the Cure for you. Now, another thing for just to go over the events, there are some cards that you can buy. For example, this one is One Quiet Night, lets you skip the infect regions step this turn, so you won't infect, you won't take out dice. Another event card lets you move any 2 infection dice from any regions to the treatment center, so you can move 2 from here to there, and so on and so on. And you have more. Once you used an event card, it goes to the discard and another one comes up. And that's it. That's the game Cure for you. It's relatively a quick game, just a good fun filler, and I hope you would enjoy it. Now, if you found this video informative, I appreciate if you like it. I appreciate also a subscription, and remember that sharing is caring. Thank you for watching.